The battle for Bakhmut has been one of the bloodiest of the 13-month war, drawing comparisons to the First World War due to the heavy casualties on both sides. Russia says capturing Bakhmut will open up the possibility of future attacks across Ukraine, while Kiev and the West say the now destroyed city is of only symbolic importance. Ground Forces Commander Colonel General Alexander Syrsky said Russia was pounding Ukrainian positions with airstrikes and artillery strikes. Meanwhile, the UK said Moscow gained little by pouring resources into the Donetsk region. Syrsky added that Russian troops in the eastern Ukrainian town of Bakhmut used the so-called scorched earth tactics they have used in Syria. A recent video footage shows the Ukrainian Armed Forces destroying the Russian invaders' 122mm D-30 gun with fire from a 152mm self-propelled gun, MSTA-S. In the video, the Russian D-30 is destroyed in 2 attacks. Indeed, the video shows 2 actual direct hits. However, it is unclear how many shots were fired. Another video also shows the armed forces of Ukraine also destroyed the Russian invaders' 120mm mortar in a large forest with fire from a 30mm automatic cannon. The BMP gunner operator fires from a closed position, out of sight of the target. However, his shot was corrected by the unmanned aerial vehicle operator, who recorded the second part of the video. The press service of the brigade and the general staff of the armed forces posted them on their pages on the social network Facebook. At the end of the video, another combat moment is presented. The brigade's drone accurately drops a grenade on an interventionist who was driving along the road in a motorblock stolen from Ukraine. Meanwhile, Russian troops stationed across the Dnipro River from the city. Ukrainian special forces have been conducting operations in the contested swampy area with islets to the west and carrying out targeted attacks across the water. On Sunday, the Ukrainian military's Southern Command said artillery units stationed around Kherson had destroyed a Russian logistics center and observation post on the island, killing 12 Russian soldiers stationed there. Russia did not immediately comment on the claims. In eastern Ukraine, the country's armed forces said Russia was continuing its tough campaign to seize territory, launching fresh attacks on the towns of Bakhmut and Avdiivka, despite rising personnel and equipment costs. On the other hand, recently, for 3 hours, 6 border guards of the Luhansk detachment, including the wounded, repelled the overwhelming attack of the Russian invaders on one of the positions in Bakhmut. When they were almost completely surrounded, reinforcements rushed their way. The press center of the State Border Guard Service of Ukraine told this to its media sources, publishing the relevant video edited from footage captured by an action camera on the helmet of one of the members of the rescue strike group. From the comments, it can be understood that the border guards managed to repel the enemy attacks and hold their positions. With fire from grenade launchers and small arms, they managed to repel the attack of the invaders and ensure the evacuation of the wounded. The head of Russia's Wagner mercenary group, Yevgeny Prigozhin, says his forces control more than 80% of Bakhmut. In a video published by a Russian military blogger on Telegram, Prigozhin can be seen showing on a map of the area how his troops are proceeding with the siege of the city. In Bakhmut, most of it, more than 80%, is now under our control, including the entire administrative center, factories, warehouses, city administration, said Prigozhin. Meanwhile, the head of the Russian-occupied section of Ukraine's Donetsk region, Denis Pushilin, also claimed that more than 75% of the city of Bakhmut is under the control of Russian forces. It is too early to declare a total victory in the battle over Bakhmut, Pushilin said on state television while visiting the embattled city in eastern Ukraine. Pushilin awarded medals to fighters belonging to the Russian private Wagner mercenary group who fought in Bakhmut. commending them for showing what the Russian spirit is, what Russian weapons are. Ukraine says it has repulsed more than 50 attacks along the front in the east, with the main Russian push focused on the town of Bohdaniivka, northwest of Bakhmut, whose control could allow Russia to directly target the Ukrainian defensive line at Chasiv Yar. Russian shelling overnight into Sunday damaged homes in 15 settlements in the east, Ukraine said, as it prepares for a counteroffensive to push Russia out of its territory. Ukraine continues to press its Western backers for more financial and military assistance. The General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces reported on April 11 that Russia had lost 179,320 troops in Ukraine since the start of its full-scale invasion on February 24 last year. This number includes the 500 casualties that the Russian forces have suffered over the past few days. Russian troops carry out airstrikes on the frontline towns of Orikhiv and Huliaipol in Zaporizhia Oblast on the morning of April 11, according to the local government. Russian aviation launched 2 missiles at each city, targeting civilian facilities, the government said. Russia also reportedly shelled the village of Stepnohorsk, not far from the demarcation line between Russian-occupied and Ukrainian-occupied Zaporizhia Oblast. There were no casualties in the attack, according to local authorities. The Kremlin-controlled Wagner mercenary group has been assisting the Russian military in its quest to capture the eastern Ukrainian city of Bakhmut for months as Moscow tries to consolidate its grip over the whole of Donetsk Oblast. On April 6, Wagner Group founder Yevgeny Prigozhin acknowledged that Ukrainian troops were not withdrawing from Bakhmut and said that a Russian offensive was impossible at this time. The Russian troops were faced with 3 problems, namely a lack of well-organized command, weak flanks, and insufficient ammunition, Prigozhin added. This contradicted his claim on 2 April that Wagner's troops had captured the city administration building in Bakhmut, flying the Russian flag there. Disputes between Prigozhin and Russian officials had also taken place over what Prigozhin perceived as a lack of proper artillery support for Wagner's forces in Ukraine and Africa. President Volodymyr Zelensky last week visited Poland, his staunch ally, to press for further support. In his late-night video address on Saturday, Zelensky said Poland had pledged to supply 200 Rosomek armored personnel carriers as well as artillery shells and mortars. "It's great to end this week on a positive note for our country," he said.